Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau, video producer, Christian, and I want to talk about the daily trial on the border again. And what was that savage attack on the Caravan Teenagers? It was another sad case on the border and a savage attack on teenagers in one of the Honduran caravans. Apparently these kids were good kids. Looking at one of the articles, it said Honduran teenagers in Tijuana are respectful, helpful friends. Apparently all the witnesses that seen them in the shelter over the time they were there said they just seemed like good kids. They were always happy. 17, 18 years of age, decided to go out outside of the shelter, I guess it looks like at night, and head on out, and the result doesn't seem to make sense. Apparently they were heading towards a particular place. Police sources that were close to the victims provide different accounts of why they were attacked. It's clear an agreement to exchange sex for money. But I don't know, because it doesn't quite make sense with their friends that they were either looking for such behavior or they were selling themselves based on the fact they had nothing left to work with. It's a terrible thing that happens, but it does. And then those type of activities where these young kids get caught up in these cartels that involved in the sex slave trade. Remember, this is slavery. This is not a vocation for these people. That's how this ends up. It's the same way with drugs. Any type of drug contact that you make with these cartels is death sentence. Anything to do with trafficking, use. You get started, they're going to use blackmail, threats against you and your family, and it's the same way with the sex trafficking. I mean, they'll destroy you for money. The verse in the Bible where Christ said the love of money is the root of all evil. That's when you really get to see it here and how wicked people can be just for $1. Just for money. They will torture and kill people. And that's what it says in this. These kids were not just killed. They were tortured, beaten with a hammer, stabbed. I mean, it's just like, whoa. The hell that those kids wandered into, they had no idea. And again, the huge mistake of leaving Honduras, coming here for what amounts to a fantasy. Some activists down there, they're really to blame for encouraging people to do this. Come up here en masse and think they can just go across the border. America has guidelines. It has laws to follow for immigration. I have heard numbers now. There's like 20 million undocumented, illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them. Now they're using the word migrant, which meant something else in my opinion. How many of them are part of the cartel? Who knows? MS-13 gang members working in that group, hiding in that group. Terrible thing, terrible thing. But apparently these kids went out. There were 3 of them. And decided to wander off. And apparently they took a wrong street into a dangerous neighborhood. Said that they had planned on going to a safer place. But people started noticing they were missing by dinner time at the shelter, and that's when they first realized that something was wrong. And again, the people that knew them said they seemed to be good kids. Now, there seems to be a sexual thing tied up in this, where they had met some women. I'm not know whether they were prostitutes or what they were, and promised something and taken somewhere, and two violent characters showed up that committed hell on these two kids. I mean, what a horror story. You know, why? It's amazing to think that people could be that violent. That stuff is going on in Tijuana. I don't know how common it is. I don't see it a lot. But there's enough of it. Enough that it makes the news on a number of people that are murdered down there by cartels, drugs, and sex trafficking. You know, savage attacks on people just for money. That is it. Just for money. It's hard to grasp. People to sacrifice themselves, their families, their friends, just for money. But I guess if that's all you have, then that's what you treasure. That's where your treasure's at, and that's what you do. Now, apparently they were around midnight. There were 3 kids, and one of them showed up, climbed over the fence to get into the shelter, and he was clearly injured and upset, and but somehow they say he witnessed some of this attack, this savage attack, and somehow survived, somehow got away. According to the article I read, there were only 2 attackers. So, you know, I don't know the strength of them or the size of them, but 3 teenagers. Teenagers are at 17 and 18, as you know, and enter the military, and they're going to be strong and healthy. It doesn't sound like they had any disabilities or anything like that. So somehow we have this witness, and there's no names being given in particular, because the law enforcement in Tijuana is trying to protect this kid, and they have actually captured some suspects, charged it looks like 3 suspects. A judge ruled on December 21st there was enough evidence for them to remain in jail. So the law enforcement in Tijuana is checking this out and see what they can find out. I don't know what that means. I've heard stories about Tijuana jails, and that is a hell, I suspect. Not a place to end up. We've had tragedies around, people that we know. There was a Imperial Beach is near us. There was a city employee that was murdered in Mexico on vacation. Some of these things happen. Of course, that doesn't give us an excuse for some of the murder rates in our cities, but it's one thing to be very careful about. I have friends that are in Customs and Border Patrol, and they cannot go down there out of the danger of them being captured or killed. So they just cannot go down there. And I have friends and family who really enjoy vacationing down there in Mexico. There's some beautiful places on Baja. So one needs to be careful. Don't go looking for... Look at it this way. If you couldn't go there with your mother, don't go. I mean, that's a good rule. Take that as a rule. And behave. There's a local couple of guys that do a travel show down there. They go to some great places. Great place to stay, great place to eat. Some really good stuff to vacation and weekend events. My neighbors do that sometimes. And everything's fine. just don't be getting into something you shouldn't be and that your mother wouldn't be happy about. Just remember that. So apparently this kid has survived, and one of the 3 teenagers, which I find amazing. And anything beyond that, I don't know if there was, it makes you wonder, did this kid, encourage anything? But apparently not, because he was part of the caravan. And so hopefully justice will be done. Apparently people part of the caravan are trying to get the 2 dead boys back to Honduras to get them buried. And it's a terrible thing. Another savage attack on seemingly innocent kids that shouldn't have been where they were. Wow. So let's hope that works out. Justice is done. I'm Timothy Linsdau. Like and comment on my video and subscribe on my channel. Thank you.